Some choices cost everything and still have to be made. A leader who said no lost his home, lost his people, and wandered the stars for thousands of years. Yet he never once regretted it. Lost in the legends of Warcraft. Let English find you along the way. Hey, Leora.
Hey, so last episode we left Sargeras standing in the ruins going, nailed it, and then realizing his army was mostly just a very angry mob with no tactical sense whatsoever.
Right. He needed better management.
He needed a leadership team, and he already had somewhere in mind. A world called Argus.
What was so special about Argus?
The Eridar. A civilization so advanced that Sargeras, who at this point has seen more worlds than almost anyone alive, considered them the most intelligent race he had ever encountered. These were people who spent their lives asking the deepest questions about the cosmos and actually making progress on the answers.
Intriguing. What did they look like?
Tall, powerful, humanoid, but distinctly not human. Horns curving back from their heads, hooves instead of feet, long tails. A kind of regal bearing to them, like every one of them knew they were the smartest person in the room. Which, to be fair, most of them probably were.
I love that description.
The Eridar were ruled by 3 leaders, a triumvirate. And this is where the story really gets interesting, because these 3 are genuinely fascinating characters. First, Archimonde. Bold, charismatic, the kind of leader who walks into a room and immediately makes everyone feel capable of doing something extraordinary.
Power this week was never meant for us. Our true strength remains caged.
Pretty much exactly that energy. Then there was Kil'jaeden, the most brilliant of the 3, sharp as a blade. The kind of person who hears a complex problem and already has 3 solutions before you finished explaining it. He loved puzzles, especially the ones no one else could crack.
Interesting. Very interesting.
Yes, exactly. And then Velen, the spiritual one. Thoughtful, calm, the kind of wisdom that comes from genuinely caring about other people. He was the one who could walk into any argument and find a peaceful resolution.
3 completely different personalities, somehow running a civilization together.
And doing it beautifully, each one's strength covering the other's blind spots. Together they had elevated the Eridar to heights that most civilizations never reach. Now, here's where it gets good. Sargeras wanted these 3. But he couldn't just show up as a cracked, fell volcano-covered titan of destruction and say, "Join me."
That pitch needs some work.
Slight adjustment required. So for the first time in this story, Sargeras did something we haven't seen from him before. He assumed a disguise. He appeared to the triumvirate as a radiant, elegant, seemingly all-knowing being. Beautiful, almost overwhelming. And he played to their deepest desire.
Which was knowledge.
He promised them the secrets of the universe. Not just more knowledge, the most obscure secrets of existence. Worlds beyond count that the Eridar could rule, reshape, and transform into places of peace and learning. And the final answer, he said, to the fundamental flaw in all of creation.
I mean, that is an incredible pitch.
That's why he's the big bad and not just some random chaos demon. He knew exactly what to say. And Archimonde heard it and...
Finally, power worthy of what we are capable of.
Completely swept up. Honored, already planning. And Kil'jaeden, he was interested too, but more quietly. He was evaluating, asking questions under the surface. Somewhere in the back of his mind, there was something cold and careful checking the math.
This could be useful.
Much more calculated, but still, he said yes. And Velen?
Velen didn't buy it.
Something felt wrong to him. He couldn't explain it immediately. It was more of an instinct, a spiritual unease. So he went to meditate with an ancient artifact his people had been given long ago by the Naru.
The Naru, remind me?
Good call to pause here. The Naru are beings of pure, holy light. Ancient, cosmic, not really physical in the way we understand it. They exist as flowing geometric forms of light and sound. The Eridar had encountered them long before this and received gifts from them, including this crystal, the Atamal crystal. In this part of the story, think of the Naru as symbols of hope, guidance, and resistance against corruption and despair. They're a constant presence in Warcraft's deeper lore.
And through this crystal, Velen saw something.
A vision. The Eridar's future if they accepted Sargeras's offer. Their beautiful forms twisted into hideous demons, their minds drowned in fellfire, their civilization gone. Everything they had built, everything they were, consumed.
And he went to warn his brothers?
He did, and here's where it gets genuinely heartbreaking. Archimonde and Kil'jaeden didn't believe him. Or more accurately, they didn't want to believe him. The offer was too good, the promise was too compelling, and they made it clear they were accepting with or without Velen.
What did Velen do?
He pretended to go along with it, bought himself time, and then, in secret, reached out to others he trusted, Eridar, who he believed would listen, because the Naru had reached back out to him too. One of them, Kuray, offered to help Velen and his followers escape.
And they ran.
They boarded a massive Naru dimensional fortress, a kind of living spacecraft essentially, called the Genedar, and they fled Argus. Forever. From that day on, Velen's people were known as the Draenei, which means exiled ones.
And if you've ever played World of Warcraft, the Draenei are a playable alliance race. Blue-skinned, hooved people with facial tendrils and a glowing crystal aesthetic. That's Velen's people. And now you know why they're so far from home.
And the journey to get here, it was not kind to them. They wandered across worlds for thousands of years, always hunted, always running, suffering losses along the way that no civilization should have to endure. But that's a story for much later. Right now, back on Argus, Sargeras got what he came for.
The corruption.
He poured fell energy into the Eridar, their forms twisted, their minds overwhelmed by fell whispers, and the two most powerful Eridar leaders, Kil'jaeden and Archimonde, became Sargeras's top commanders.
So Archimonde and Kil'jaeden were both on board. What about Velen's disappearance? How did that land?
Kil'jaeden took it very personally. Velen and Kil'jaeden had been particularly close, best friends for a long time, and in Kil'jaeden's mind, Velen had betrayed him. He made a vow to hunt the Draenei across every world in existence. That grudge would burn for thousands of years.
Okay, I want to pause here for a second, because I feel like the three of them making such different choices is very telling about who they already were.
That's a sharp observation. And actually, there's a bit of supplementary lore from later in the game that fills in some of this. On Argus, before Sargeras ever arrived, Archimonde's own mentor, Falkiel, had been experimenting with demon summoning and planning a coup. Archimonde exposed the plot and personally killed his former teacher.
He turned in his own mentor.
That helped pave his way to his position, which tells you something about Archimonde, doesn't it? When he saw Sargeras's offer, the boldness, the power, the scale of it, he didn't hesitate. It was completely consistent with who he already was.
And Kil'jaeden, quietly evaluating, not showing his hand.
Calculated to the end, he probably had doubts. He's too smart not to have had doubts. But he weighed it and decided the upside was worth the cost.
And Velen, the one who had always been the conscience of the three.
The one who, when he saw the truth, couldn't unsee it. Their choices weren't random. They grew out of who each of them already was.
Kil'jaeden the deceiver, and Archimond, the Defiler. Even their new titles tell you everything.
And they were very good at their jobs, unfortunately. Under their leadership, the Burning Legion expanded massively. Various demonic races each served distinct roles. Pit Lords as living siege engines, the Moarg as weapons makers, the Doomguard as shock troops. The Legion grew into something that could credibly threaten any world in existence.
Including Azeroth.
Sargeras had a name. He was looking. But we're not there yet, because while all of this was happening out in the Great Dark, something strange was happening on Azeroth.
The Keepers.
Remember how Norgannon saved the Pantheon's spirits at the last moment, launched them into the Great Dark before Sargeras' Fellstorm could destroy them? Those spirits were hurtling through space with nowhere to go, fading, weakening. And they found Azeroth. Specifically, they found the Keepers.
The beings made from the Pantheon's own power.
The closest thing to a physical vessel they could reach. The spirits slammed into them, and the Keepers were hit with a sudden surge of memories and power that wasn't theirs. Flashes of distant worlds, lives they hadn't lived, wonders they'd never seen.
That sounds profoundly disorienting.
And then it dimmed, just as fast as it had come. The Keepers were left with a faint new strength they couldn't explain, and a silence where their makers used to be. They called out to the Pantheon, no answer. They kept calling, nothing.
That kind of silence does something to you over time.
It really does. Most of the Keepers tried to continue their duties. They held the world together as best they could, but one Keeper spiraled. The silence hit him harder than the others. The despair went deeper, and that Keeper was Loken.
It stands to reason. Loken carried Norgannon's gift, a mind that never stopped working. And a mind like that, left alone with silence and grief, tends to run too deep.
Now, before we go further, I want to state the facts plainly. Because what happened to Loken wasn't entirely his own doing. Yogg-Saron had been watching.
Buried under Ulduar, sealed away, but awake.
Very awake. And in the long ages since its imprisonment, something sharp had been building in Yogg-Saron's mind. A plan. Patient, methodical. Yogg-Saron didn't attack. It didn't aim to shatter its seal first. In a unsettling way, it just watched. Waited for the right moment. The right person.
That's the scariest kind of enemy. The one that waits.
Its plan was elegant. The Forge of Wills, the machine right above Yogg-Saron's prison, the one meant to shape the world soul's mind, Yogg-Saron was going to corrupt it, taint its creation process with something called the Curse of Flesh. Any Titan forged created by the machine afterward would gradually transform from stone and metal into flesh and blood. Mortal, fragile, killable.
Use the Pantheon's own creation machine to quietly hollow out everything it built.
But to do that, it needed someone on the inside. And it chose Loken, the one already sinking in despair, already vulnerable. Yogg-Saron began visiting him in dreams, not attacking, not commanding, just feeding the dark thoughts that were already there. Slow, careful, like turning up a dial one notch at a time.
Did Loken know what was happening?
He resisted at first. Even in his troubled state, something in him pushed back against the whispers, and Yogg-Saron recognized that. So it changed tactics, stopped going at Loken directly, and let something else do the work instead.
What?
Love. Melodramatic, forbidden love. Loken had fallen for someone he absolutely should not have fallen for. A Vrykul woman named Sif, the companion of his brother, Keeper Thorim's partner.
Oh, that's messy.
Very messy. They met in private. He told her things he couldn't tell anyone else. His fears, his grief, the silence of the Pantheon. And somewhere in that intimacy, something real grew between them. But Yogg-Saron was watching all of this. And it grabbed onto that feeling and twisted it. Slowly, Loken's love became an obsession. He started pushing Sif to go public, to leave Thorum, to choose him openly.
Of course she didn't want that.
She was terrified of what it would do to the Keeper's unity. She tried to end it, told him to leave her alone, that it was over. And Loken, whose mind had been quietly worked on for who knows how long by an ancient imprisoned god of madness,
couldn't let go.
In a moment of rage and grief, he lashed out, and Sif was dead.
There it is. The point of no return.
It wasn't a cold plan, it was a terrible impulse. Rage, jealousy, desperation, all breaking through at once. But it happened. And now Loken was standing there with a secret that could destroy him, and Yogg-Saron, sensing everything, knew it had its lever.
Always playing the long game.
The patience of something that has literally nothing but time. All right, next episode, we follow Loken down the rest of that road, the cover-up, the betrayal of his brothers, and the moment he makes a deal that changes everything on Azeroth.
And here is a question for this episode. 3 people heard the same pitch from Sargeras. 1 saw through it immediately. 1 processed it coldly and decided the power was worth the cost. And 1 threw himself into it completely. None of them was stupid. None of them were naive. So what actually separates someone who sees through a beautiful lie from someone who chooses to believe it? Is it wisdom? Is it fear? Or is it something about what you want to be true?
If you enjoyed this one, subscribe so you don't miss what comes next.
If you're learning English, or if some Warcraft terms felt confusing, tap the video link in the top right. Our vocabulary episode explains useful English expressions from today's story, along with the Warcraft terms we mentioned. See you next time.
See ya.